Loan payments that were previously ineligible will now count. Dave.
Tanya, Princeton professor and a German scientist are sharing the Nobel Prize for Chemistry for their work building molecules that can be used to make all kinds of things, from medicines to solar panels to food flavoring. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, when the news channels start using terms like quantitative easing and now tapering a lot, you know there's trouble ahead. What does it mean? Well, despite everything you hear, it just means less money in your pocket, fewer dollars to spend. Everything costs more. Food, gas, utilities, all going up. Does anything cost less than last year? It's bad enough if you're young, but if you're close to retirement, it could be a disaster for your savings. A gold or silver IRA or 401k with Noble Gold will solve this inflation problem for good. And they're giving away a free 5-ounce solid silver America the Beautiful bullion coin with each qualifying plan you start this month as a thank you. Not bad, huh? The best part? You'll speak to an expert. No hassle, no pressure, just a look at your options and what you can do to stop the Fed stealing your hard-earned money. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com or call us at 877-646-5347.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. Right now, it is 6:03. We're expecting patchy fog this morning, then a chance of showers and storms after 1 o'clock this afternoon. Today's high 71. Slight chance of storms tonight with the overnight low around 62. And the outlook for tomorrow, a chance of rain and a high of 74 degrees. Good morning, everyone. Missouri House members in both parties are demanding answers from state officials after a federal investigation found that nearly 1,000 foster children went missing in 2018. House members in both parties grilling the State Department of Social Services on Tuesday in Jefferson City. The report also says Missouri doesn't do enough to identify at-risk children. The Senate Majority Leader Caleb Rowden will join us live on Wake Up Columbia in the 7 o'clock hour. That's not the main topic, but we will certainly ask him about this hearing as well coming up in an hour. Meantime, a convicted triple killer from Columbia has been executed in southeast Missouri's Bonne Terre. That's despite calls for clemency from Pope Francis. Ernest Lee Johnson, convicted of killing 3 employees at a Casey's convenience store in February 1994. Now, that store on Ballinger Lane has since been torn down. There were protests across the state yesterday from supporters of Ernest Lee Johnson. His attorney, Jeremy Weiss, asking the U.S. Supreme Court to stay the execution, saying the Eighth Amendment prohibits executing intellectually disabled people. However, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to stay the execution. Governor Parson rejected a clemency request, saying that Johnson's claim that he is not competent to be executed was rejected by a jury in the court 6 times. Johnson wrote a handwritten letter this week, said he was sorry. He also expressed remorse in that letter. There's a former Columbia woman who lived near the now demolished Casey's in 1994, and she is critical of those who called for clemency for Ernest Lee Johnson. Her name is Brenda.
The woman who lived across the street from the Columbia Casey's General Store where Ernest Lee Johnson killed 3 workers says she didn't understand the calls for clemency.
For someone who was so mentally disabled, he sure put together how to murder these people. Mary Bratcher's death was so brutal that the police asked me and my husband if we'd heard a shotgun blast.
Brenda says they sold their home soon after the 1994 killings. Johnson was accused of shooting and beating the victims to death with a hammer during a robbery to get money for drugs. John Marsh, The Eagle, 93.9.
John, thank you. 100 to 150 city and county officials from across the state are going to be hearing a legislative update here in a few hours this morning from national leaders of the National Association of County Engineers during a 2-day transportation conference that is going on here in Columbia. They're also going to be meeting in Jefferson City. Attendees include road supervisors, public work directors, as well as county commissioners. One of the biggest issues facing rural Missouri counties is gravel road maintenance. That'll be discussed at the conference as well. Columbia's Fifth Ward City Councilman Matt Pitzer has concerns with a proposal to develop a conservation overlay to protect the natural features around Rockbridge Memorial State Park. Councilman Pitzer tells 93.9 The Eagles Wake Up Columbia that the state park is a great asset for Columbia area. However,
this proposal was to, stop any annexation for 18 months and stop any sort of development within the city I'm not sure that that's the best thing to do.
More than 2,000 residents have signed a petition asking the city to appoint a committee to develop a conservation overlay to protect the natural features around the park if and when they're annexed into the city. The petition organizer, Jan Weaver, describes Rockbridge Memorial State Park as an important natural, recreational, educational, and economic asset to Columbia. You can hear the full interview with the councilman, 939theeagle.com. In Columbia Public Schools, patrons have approved 6 bond issues in the past 11 years. CPS has opened the John Warner Middle School, and the addition and renovation at Rockbridge Elementary School is underway. New softball fields, a new practice field have been added at Hickman High School. Those numbers all included in CPS's new annual report that has just been mailed to district patrons within the last week. CPS maintains 799 acres, and they have more than 2.4 million square feet of roof space. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you live on this very busy Wednesday morning by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. AirServe.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. In sports, all eyes tonight on Chavez Ravine, the Cardinals and the Dodgers. A big rivalry. They've never played in the same division, but always a great game, especially when you talk about a one-game playoff, which is what this is, the National League wildcard game. Winner take all. 40-year-old Adam Wainwright, 37-year-old Max Scherzer on the mound. Just the second elimination game in MLB postseason history with 2 starters, ages 37+. First pitch tonight, 7:10 at Chavez Ravine, Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. Catch all the action right here on 93.9 The Eagle. John Rooney will be the main broadcaster tonight. Rick Horton also on the call. Mike Claiborne will also be involved in the broadcast tonight. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:08. All right, Kevin, thank you so much. 64 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
And our traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Things are quiet right now on the roads. However, if you do see a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
At 5:16 p.m., the Department of Corrections received word that all petitions had been denied by the U.S. Supreme Court, and the department could begin with the execution sequence. At 5:41 p.m., witnesses were moved into the viewing area. At 6 p.m., Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt notified the Department of Corrections that there were no legal impediments to the lawful execution of Ernest Johnson. At 6:01 p.m., Governor Parsons' office was asked whether there's any reason that the lawful execution of Ernest Johnson for the murders of Mary Bratcher, Fred Jones, and Mabel Scruggs should not proceed. The answer was to proceed. At 6:01 p.m., the order was given to proceed with the lawful execution. At 6:02 p.m., the lethal injection of pentobarbital was administered. At 6:05 p.m., the 5-minute timer was set. At 6:11 p.m., Ernest Johnson was pronounced dead.
And that's how it went down yesterday here in the state of Missouri. Story garnering national headlines. And some of these headlines, even my sweet Hannah is
all
even...
right, it's too early for that.
My sweet Hannah. I call her my sweet Hannah because I've known her since she was like 15 years old. And now she's a young woman. She's involved in a long-term relationship that might lead to an engagement, and I'm sorry if I've made you mad always pestering you about your fiance, Branden. I apologize.
Yep, there it is. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop.
There it is.
There it is.
Even Hannah, my sweet Hannah, has uncovered a real nasty, a very slanted headline.
Yeah, NBC News this morning made a post on Facebook. Let me pull it up here. I wasn't prepared for this.
That's okay. St. Louis Post-Dispatch, yesterday, they their headline was, Missouri moves ahead with execution of mentally disabled man. How about this headline, St. Louis Post-Dispatch? Missouri moves ahead with an execution of a dude who murdered a grandmother and 2 other employees with a hammer and a screwdriver. How about that headline? But again, you see, those are examples of how news outlets, they try to soften these things up, and they do it because they're trying to push forward an agenda. This is wrong. Completely irresponsible and, frankly, immoral from somebody that's in the news industry. St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and immoral. What NBC, their headline, it is immoral.
So NBC says, convicted killer Ernest Johnson executed despite questions over his intellectual capacity. And they didn't use the most flattering picture of him. I feel like it kind of is meant to fit what they're trying to push.
That's a good snag, Hannah, because you see these pictures, and there's a picture of him. It's a prison photo, and he looks...
It's not the best picture.
You look at it and you go, yeah, that's somebody who's mentally incompetent. Whatever his side was arguing for him not to be executed, that's the picture that they use. So that's the way that it went down yesterday. News outlets, a lot of them very irresponsible in how they've covered this story here in Missouri. Now, we have the letter. He wrote a letter, like his final statement, which I always, and I don't know why, maybe it's a weird thing. I am fascinated when people know they're going to be executed. You get a last meal. Now, several years ago, as I recall, Missouri changed the law because it used to be last meal. You get lobster and steak and all this kind of stuff. And as I recall, I might be wrong, but I thought they changed it a couple years ago to say there's a limit on the cost of a meal.
It's not a law, and I can tell you from the time I work there, and I've been gone a number of years, but I would think it's a policy. Generally speaking, it's $50 to $75, and they have an arrangement with a couple of restaurants in the Bonne Terre and Potosi areas. It's just something that it's just something that is done. It's understood. The employees don't have a problem with it. The DOC employees, the inmates, not all of them take it. Most do, but it's not a law. But it's usually under $50. Sometimes it's 10 or 15, but they have a couple restaurants that they use for that.
Ernest Lee Johnson's last meal, pizza and some cheeseburgers. His last statement, and I'm going to read this verbatim. This is his actual statement that he wrote. And I'll just read it as is. I am sorry and have remorse for what I do. I want to say that I love my family and friends. I am thankful of all that my lawyer has done for me. They made me feel love as if it was my family. I love them all. For all the people that has prayed for me, I thank them from the bottom of my period. I love the Lord with all my heart and soul. If I am executed, I know where I am going to heaven. Again, I'm reading this verbatim. Because I ask him to forgive me. God, everyone. With respect, Ernest L. Johnson. Final statement from Ernest Johnson. Jim Salter, I think a much respected reporter for the Associated Press.
Yeah, as I compared it, you and I have talked, he reminds me of my style. He's been around forever. He's got to be, I bet he's been with the AP close to 30 years, maybe longer. Used to work in Joplin. Generally speaking, the AP, I mean, pandemic notwithstanding, I don't know how they did it. I think there was only 1 or 2 executions, but Jim generally covers every execution. He's a state witness and reports on it, and just a great reporter, period.
He was asked following this. He was one of the reporters that witnessed that execution last night here in Missouri. He was asked what he saw whenever Ernest Lee Johnson died.
Mr. Johnson was mouthing words to his relatives or friends as the process began. His breathing became labored. He puffed his cheeks once. He swallowed hard, and within a few seconds, the process was over. There were no visible signs of distress.
And that's not the first execution that he has witnessed, man. That's powerful stuff from a reporter.
He's he's describing it, doing his job, and the way it's going to work is he'll receive a phone call, Jim, and anyone else who witnessed it from the Attorney General's office, whether it's Jay Nixon years ago or whether it's now Eric Schmidt, and they will ask him the very same questions. Did you see anything that indicated that he suffered? And it's all male inmates on death row right now, but based on what he said, it happened very quick. And in the process, and the way I kind of explained it yesterday, very quick. They were on 17 last night. They were interviewing the reporter, and the host at the studio was asking her, "Did you hear anything?" There was no way she can't. Those walls are soundproof, so there's no way. But the reporter, it was Layla Mitchell on 17, basically described what Jim just said there in the soundbite.
And what I find interesting, so basically the drugs that they start to inject you with, you get high, in effect, before you die, is what happens. Incidentally, I was told that he was offered a sedative earlier in the day to calm his nerves, and he about lunchtime they came in and said, "Hey, Ernest, you want some sedatives?" And he said, "No, I sure don't." This is Wake Up Columbia. Brian Hauswirth, Hannah, the producer. My name is Branden Rathert. If there is something that we can do for you, something on your mind, let us know. 874-9390. Stephanie has the day off. Remember when the mayor of Kansas City, Quentin Lucas, made headlines for wanting to defund the police?
I think the way you actually back the blue and support our communities is actually supporting them in helping to prevent crimes, helping to intervene in the cycle of violent crime that sees teenagers and kids get killed on the streets of Kansas City every day.
So his solution? Let's take money away from the police department. Judge yesterday said, Quentin, you can't do that. A judge saying not only can you not do that, the judge ruling, Judge Patrick W. Campbell, ruled that the two ordinances that the city passed, in effect, the mayor broke the law. So we have a mayor in Kansas City. You think about people in leadership sometimes. Left-hand turn here, Hannah. Think about people.
A left-hand turn.
A right-hand turn.
There you go.
Thank you.
Just looking out for you, man.
All right. We have this mayor in Kansas City, a judge saying you broke the law by defunding the police. And remember how the whole thing went down? There were a lot of people in law enforcement leadership that were like out of town, and the mayor said, "Hey, let's get a meeting together. Let's defund the police because I think this is popular right now." So the way the whole thing was handled anyway was dastardly. Judge said, you broke the law. You cannot do that. That is a win for police. So you've got a mayor in Kansas City there. Our mayor in Columbia, according to the Missourian, after an ethics complaint filed in 2019 against Columbia Mayor Brian Treese, on Friday it was revealed that Columbia Mayor Brian Treese has been ordered to terminate his campaign committee. Missouri Ethics Commission issued the order Friday and said Treese violated state law. I got to say this, and you may not agree with me here. I don't believe Brian Treese had any intent. I don't think it's maybe an oversight thing, and you may not, you may disagree with me on that. But, I got to call it the way I see it, and that's the way I see it. But nonetheless, you have this mayor in Kansas City, a judge saying, you broke the law. You can't take money. And it was the way the expenditures were yanked, but you can't defund the police like that. And then we have the mayor in Columbia, it's the Missouri Ethics Commission, saying Treese violated state law. This according to the Columbia Missourian. We're going to have more on this in this judge's ruling regarding the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department and Quentin Lucas. And I guess he's vowing to fight this. You broke the law. You don't get appeals. You ain't Ernest Lee Johnson. You broke the law. And we are going to fix it. Meanwhile, I do want to highlight some local people in law enforcement, people with the Columbia Police Department before we move forward here. The Molly Thomas Bowden Officer of the Year Award awarded to Detective Mark Fitzgerald. This guy's a narcotics detective. And this guy, he's not just about busting people that are slinging drugs. This guy, he's got compassion when working with people with addiction and their families, which I think is great. Hey, okay, you got a problem. Let's not just bust you. Let's see, can we help get you out of this? Sergeant Rick Harrell, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his last name wrong, Rick Harrell, Supervisor of the Year. And everybody says, man, this guy is just fair and reasonable. Patrol Officer Jeremiah Jones, Rookie of the Year Award. Kudos, man. I love Rookie of the Year awards. And then some custodians within the Columbia Police Department awarded for their efforts to keep everybody clean during the pandemic. Bob DeClue and Kathy Rouleau being honored. Welcome into Wake Up Columbia tonight. The Cardinals and the Dodgers. It is a one-game deal, man. That's wild card October baseball for
Hot.
Most of the time, I'm good enough that I can.
Local.
Answer that question when she says, "What are you thinking?" I'm not.
Talk.
Branden, for you, that makes sense. That sounds about right.
This is Wake Up Columbia. Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
We are woefully unadvanced in this field. You're talking to a group of folks that don't understand it and don't ask the right questions.
Congressman Tim Burchett, Republican from Tennessee, talking about Facebook. I love that he's saying we don't know about this, and you got people that don't know about this because we're a bunch of old white dudes. We don't understand Facebook. We don't understand the questions. That gets us into today's daily D.C. rundown. Some of the big takeaways from the Facebook hearings yesterday. Testimony from Ms. Haugen, who used to work at Facebook, said Facebook knows it's causing harm to vulnerable people. Listen, I'm not a big fan of Facebook either. I'm on it because I have to be. I don't do anything on it. I'm on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page, which I love. You can watch Wake Up Columbia live on the Facebook page, and you can now watch on YouTube.
You don't do a lot on Facebook because you don't know how.
Because I'm one of them old white dudes the congressman is talking about. She said Facebook know that it's causing harm to vulnerable people, and I completely disagree with this. If Facebook isn't doing it, it's people on the platform. Other people are not responsible for other people's actions. Other stuff in D.C., Biden now grasping at straws, probably the same straws that he uses to slurp up his Jell-O in the morning for breakfast. Here's what he's doing now. In Michigan, yesterday, playing snake oil salesman. Check out how they're... Remember, the cost is zero. All the lies told last week, which Aaron Hedlund, economics professor at Mizzou, debunked last week. Cost is zero. Check this out. Now he's taking it to the next level.
My friends in the other team have no problem giving billionaires and millionaires gigantic tax breaks. This is a tax cut.
This is a tax cut. Not only, so it was, the cost is zero. Now it's a tax cut. How do you react to that, man? 874-9390 is the text line. Meanwhile, is Biden responsible for these high gas prices? Crude oil expensive, it's going up. Gas prices getting higher, and in Missouri, we've got that extra 2.5 cent per gallon pinch. Don't forget to save your receipts, by the way, when you're getting gas. Whole process of getting your money back on the extra tax, by the way, what a monumental pain in the rear end that is. So, rising fuel prices, is that Joe's fault? Dan Eberhart is CEO of Canary. It's an oil drilling company. Wrote a piece for Forbes on the high gas prices. Asked him to come on the show. He joins us at 6:35, right after Fox News, as it's Republican v. Republican in Idaho. Brian Hauswirth has today's local news at 6:31.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. Senate Democrats plan another vote today to debate raising the nation's debt ceiling. That's been blocked by Republicans saying they want no part of it. President Biden says this might be a time to drop the filibuster rule for this one vote to get by with just the Democrats' 50 votes, not the 60 needed to stop a filibuster.
Quite frankly, there's not many options if they're going to be that irresponsible.
The Treasury Department says debt default is possible if this isn't resolved in 12 days. The House passed a debt ceiling suspension last week. The Pope responds to a report about child sex abuse by Catholic clergy in France.
Pope Francis says he feels sorrow and shame.
E anche la mia vergogna.
In his weekly audience at the Vatican, the Pope said the Church showed an incapacity to care for victims. French investigators published a report yesterday saying French Catholic clergy abused some 200,000 children over the past 70 years.
Fox's Simon Owen. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 939theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 64 degrees right now in Columbia. We're expecting patchy fog before 9 this morning. A chance of rain, maybe storms after 1 o'clock this afternoon, high of 71. So a chance of rain tonight, low near 62. And the outlook for tomorrow, a chance of thunderstorms and a high of 74 degrees. We get hot again on Friday with a high of 85. Good morning, everyone. A convicted Columbia triple killer has been executed despite calls for clemency from Pope Francis and 2 congressional Democrats from Missouri. Ernest Lee Johnson was executed by lethal injection last night at the state's maximum security prison in Bonne Terre. Prosecutors say Johnson used a hammer to kill Mary Bratcher, Mabel Scruggs, Fred Jones in February 1994. Pope Francis asked the governor to block the execution, citing his humanity and the sacredness of all human life. The governor says 3 juries reviewed Johnson's case and recommended the death penalty. Another person who asked the governor to intervene is former Missouri Governor Bob Holden, who is a death penalty supporter. He asked Governor Parson to block the execution. Governor Parson rejected that, saying that Johnson went to great lengths to plan his crimes. We have an updated story about Ernest Lee Johnson on our website, which is 939theeagle.com. Meantime, about 150 city and county officials from across Missouri will hear a legislative update from the National Association of County Engineers during their 2-day Columbia Transportation Conference. 93.9 The Eagle's Don Luzader has our report.
The Missouri Association of County Transportation Officials will open their meeting this morning at 10 in Columbia with a welcome from Boone County Presiding Commissioner Dan Atwill. Attendees include road supervisors, public works directors, and county commissioners from across the state. One of the biggest issues facing rural Missouri counties is gravel road maintenance, which will be discussed at the conference. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Columbia Public Schools is now Missouri's 5th largest school district with 18,213 students. It's a number that is expected to grow by hundreds. The numbers contained in CPS's annual report. The 18,213 number was total enrollment at the end of 2020-2021. CPS's Michelle Baumstark notes this fall's initial enrollment is up about 600. Official numbers will be updated this fall. CPS has a 13-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio. And a quick update here, developing news. We've just gotten a statement from Columbia's Police Chief Jeff Jones regarding an officer-involved shooting that took place in March of 2020. This involves the death of according to the chief, a man named Curtis Haas, Haas. As he said, officers were attempting to arrest him on suspicion of first-degree child molestation. The chief says there was an exchange of gunfire that day between Haas and the officers, and Haas was killed in the incident. There was a special prosecutor that was appointed, and the special prosecutor, Chris Wilson, telling Chief Jones that he does not intend to file any criminal charges against the officers involved in the shooting. And here's the exact quote from the prosecutor in the statement. In light of these facts, it is clear to me that the officers were acting lawfully in their use of deadly force pursuant to Section 563-046 RSMO and in defense of person, both self-defense and defense of a third person pursuant to Section 563-031 RSMO. End of quote. So again, no charges will be filed against the officers. They acted lawfully according to the special prosecutor, who is Christopher Wilson. He's the prosecutor in Callaway County. We've just received that statement from Chief Jones. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning by Mid-America Mortgage. MidAmericaMortgage.us. Apply now for a loan on your dream home. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:35. In sports, the Cardinals face the Dodgers in tonight's National League wildcard game. It's a one-game playoff, winner-take-all. 40-year-old Adam Wainwright facing 37-year-old Max Scherzer on the mound. 7:10 the first pitch at Chavez Ravine in Los Angeles. Catch all of the action right here on 93.9 The Eagle. Should be a great game. Again, 7:10 our time. John Rooney, Mike Claiborne, and Ricky Horton will have the call for you coming up tonight. 93.9 The Eagle Sports brought to you by Mid-America Mortgage. Our news time, 6:36.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Things right now are quiet on the roads. However, if you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
But we got to get Democrats out to vote. We are facing a lot of headwinds from Washington. As you know, the president is unpopular today, unfortunately, here in Virginia. So we have got to plow through.
Ouch. That's how bad it's getting for Joe. That's Terry McAuliffe running for governor in Virginia. I think he used to be a senator there. He's a Democrat and doing a Zoom meeting yesterday saying, hey, we need to get out and vote. And he says, yeah, we know Joe is not popular. I wonder what kind of backlash Mr. McAuliffe is going to face from the party this morning. But do you give him points? Yeah, he's at least being accurate. If you're looking at polls, which continue now, of course, the downfall for Joe, not that he ever started very highly anyway, but the downfall started after he killed those troops in Afghanistan because of his sloppy pullout. You know, if you pull out in a sloppy fashion, if you don't pull out at just the right time, it's going to cause problems. And Joe is seeing that. It is reflected in the polls. So we were going to be chatting with a guy by the name of Dan Eberhart. You may have read some of his stuff in Forbes magazine. As a matter of fact, he's got a book called The Switch, which talks about America's energy. But he's the CEO of Canary, which is an oil drilling company based out of Colorado. And wanted to ask him, because it's easy. Listen, whoever the guy in charge is, it's like Mike Schilt, right? Playing ball. Cardinals playing poorly for like 5 out of the 6 months of this baseball season. They played poorly. Didn't live up to their potential, I should say. Do you hold Mike Schilt, ultimately the guy in charge, responsible? So I've always been curious. Whenever we talk about gas prices, for example, do you lay that at the feet of the president? It's one of the things we wanted to talk to him about this morning. So hopefully he'll be joining us. Apparently there's a mix-up in communication. I am happy because I know Hannah's chomping at the bit. One of my character defects is, and I'm getting better, I think. We haven't had any incidents in a while.
I don't know.
When was the last time we had an incident regarding miscommunication with a guest?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
But it happened. It would happen from time to time. I don't think it's happened for a while. So
usually it's like a time zone thing. Like if we were calling somebody in a different time zone, sometimes. Oh, uh-oh.
Oh.
Did you speak too soon on not messing up?
Yep. I'm reading the email. 8:10 a.m. Central Standard Time works for Dan on Wednesday, 10/6. 8:10.
Good job.
It's all right. You had a lot on your plate.
Can we nominate me for one of the losers of the week? 8:35 on Friday. Welcome into the moving forward, because that's what we do here on Wake Up Columbia. Moving forward.
Wait, so how did you get 35 from 8:10?
I don't know.
That's not even. They're not even close.
Listen, I had hoped. I had hoped that, like when I quit drinking over a year ago, 408 days now without a drink, I had hoped that things would get better. And I think by and large, personally, and I think professionally, things have gotten better.
Yeah. You're still a little scatterbrained.
I am scatterbrained, and it seems like it's getting worse. I mean, I am so forgetful. Like, I'll be talking to somebody and Hannah all the time, do you remember when this happened?
Nope.
No. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I don't remember. I apparently went to one of my nephew's high school football games outside of Jefferson City. We were talking about this at my dad's birthday party a couple years ago. No, I cannot recall it, and sometimes it's almost it's worrisome.
And see, now you're getting to the age where that will continue to get worse.
And that's what I wonder, if it's worse than that. If it's a thing, if it's just part of being 50. Let's talk about Brian Hauswirth's health issues instead. God. Welcome into the show. Wake Up Columbia. There is our news director, Brian Hauswirth.
I had a great time with you yesterday, by the way.
We got to hang out at Level Up, which in the mall, if you've walked by it, never thought about going, I'm telling you, even if you don't have kids, this is a great date night kind of thing, man. They have some bowling lanes. They have an arcade. They have virtual games. They have a ropes course. They have laser tag. How they jam-packed all of this incredible adrenaline-pumping fun into that small of a space, beyond me. We had pizza and ice cream, and the food is good.
Yes, it is.
You know, it's not like they're sitting there and they pull a Tombstone pizza out of the box and shove it in the pizza oven. This is good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it is all good.
Clean.
It's clean, and it was just an incredible time at Level Up. They have a full bar.
Mm-hmm.
I still get excited about that kind of stuff, and I don't know why.
Now, did you get to do any bowling?
I didn't bowl. I got a bad my left shoulder is bad. I'm right-handed, but that was my excuse. Brian Hauswirth killed it on bowling yesterday.
And, and we talk about this in all seriousness. Bowling helps me with my vertigo, and it has something to do with...
Old guy issues again. There we go, health issues.
It helps me. But it was so good to do that, and... the other thing about it, Branden, we count our blessings. Right to our left as we were there was a nursing home that... and there were people, literally, elderly ladies and walkers, and some of them were people who had developmental disabilities. They were so grateful to be there. They really enjoyed it, and you treasure what you have. They were so appreciative and said hi to us numerous times. It was good to see them, too.
It was neat. They were having fun, and it's a date night thing, and even if you don't have kids... You got to do Level Up, man. Food and booze and video games.
I was really disappointed that I didn't get to go.
Yeah.
I walked out into the green room where all of our desks are yesterday. Everybody was gone. It was a ghost town. I'm just looking around, see a tumbleweed blow by in the distance. But I was really disappointed I didn't get to go. I had to go take a stinking exam at school.
Oh, boy.
Level Up, man. You got to check that place out. And again, I'll go back to if I can brag on the place where I work. You know, I come in, they let me goof around here for 3.5 hours every morning. You can watch on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. You can watch on YouTube. Pop that up on your TV in the morning. Get the news, get what's going on. But when you talk about great employers in town, Shelter Insurance and Veterans United, I think everybody universally understands that. Zimmer Communication should be included in that conversation for what they did for us yesterday.
Yes.
My name is Branden Rathert. Got some texts I want to get to. Willie says, what I have is the Biden syndrome, my forgetfulness.
Ouch.
See, Joe and I actually have a lot in common.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would go bragging about that.
Gary, the conspiracy theory guy, says, to begin to reduce your constant lying on the air, something a professional broadcaster must aspire to. And it's a website, that pushes weird conspiracy stuff. So we are just getting this morning. I have reached out to the police chief of Columbia, Chief Jeff Jones. You remember back in March, officer-involved shooting, had traffic jacked up for a while. A guy died. This was in March. We have a new development on this story this morning.
Yes, and the incident would have happened in the date I have here is March 5th, 2020, Branden, that this incident happened. It was an officer-involved shooting, 1700 block of Sun Court. And again, we're just receiving this. I'll get an update for the 7 o'clock news, a little more detail here. But the incident involved when police were trying to arrest Curtis, I believe it's pronounced Haas, Haas, on suspicion of first-degree child molestation. There was an exchange of gunfire between Haas and the officers. Haas died from the incident. 3 officers, as standard protocol, were put on administrative leave. They brought in the Internal Affairs Unit, Highway Patrol. There was a special prosecutor that was appointed. Dan Knight recused himself, so they brought in the prosecutor of Callaway County. And the news here, the brand new update, is that the special prosecutor wrote a letter, Chris Wilson, to the Highway Patrol and to Chief Jones saying he does not intend to file any criminal charges against any of the officers. He said the officers were acting lawfully in their use of deadly force, and we have a statement from the chief as well. So that's brand new.
And that, to me, that's good news. I'm glad. I hate what happened. And that guy, by the way, the guy that got killed, he had kind of an interesting backstory that, and I don't say that as, we need to take pity on him. And I wish this would happen more often. In Springfield recently, there was by the way, Chief Jeff Jones is going to be joining us 7:10. Chief Jeff Jones, 7:10. We do want to talk about this prosecutor saying I'm not charging anybody. And we recently had some Columbia police officers that were honored with some pretty nice awards. But
are we sure that that's 7:10 and not 8:35? Are we positive?
Man, I'm losing it. Sorry to Dan Eberhart, who wrote this piece for Forbes. I really wanted to turn you on to that. He's actually going to be here to talk about the oil prices. Is Biden to blame? He's here at 8:10. Good news is you get more time to tell your friends, hey, man, you got to tune in, 8:10. This guy wrote this piece for Forbes and is a CEO of a drilling company. You're going to be joining Wake Up Columbia. Like in Springfield, several months ago, officers, they didn't shoot a guy, but they used extreme measures to make sure he didn't hurt himself and hurt the officers and hurt the public. And it was a big story because the guy was black and the cops were white, and it was all over. Got some national news on all the liberal outlets. A couple of weeks ago, they ruled, cops didn't do anything wrong. A peep. Didn't hear about that part. Hey, remember this? This happened over the weekend. This is a NASCAR reporter, and I can't think of the guy's name. This guy, Branden, he wins a race. Reporter interviewing him live on TV. Hannah, don't worry, I've edited it. No wordy dirts going out here.
I'm still going to have my finger on the button because I know how you roll.
Usually when she's looking at me, she's got her finger on the trigger. They're chanting, it's happening all over college. It's happening stadiums across the country. I wish it wouldn't happen, but people are saying how they feel they have the right to practice. But they're yelling, F Joe Biden, F Joe Biden. Live on TV, NASCAR racer Branden, can't remember his last name. Maybe you can help me out with it. Text 874-9390. He's being interviewed, and the crowd is chanting.
You can hear the chants from the crowd. Let's go, Branden. You told me you were going to kind of...
So kudos to the reporter. She said Branden Brown is the NASCAR driver's name. Great work by that reporter, by the way, because they're saying F Joe Biden, and she says, I think they're saying let's go Branden.
Do you think she actually thought that, or do you think she was just trying to save it?
Oh, yeah, no, I think she was trying to save it. No, I agree with you. She knew what they were saying. It's become a thing now. We'll have that coming up for you at 6:53. And then another reporter who just, wow, she's presented with a weird situation.
Wake Up Columbia, the show for Zoomers and Boomers and everyone in between. Hot Talk 93.9, The Eagle.
You can hear the chants from the crowd. Let's go, Branden. You told me you were going to kind of hang back.
I love that. So that happened Sunday. NASCAR racer Branden Brown wins a race, interviewed live TV, and the crowd, and we're seeing this all across America, and it's from all political affiliations. People are chanting FJB, F Joe Biden, F Joe Biden. It's the right to practice freedom of speech. The reporter, because it's live on TV, nothing you can do about it. And so she, deft job on trying to cover it up. She says, I think they're chanting, let's go, Branden, let's get. And they're not. And she knows it.
This explains all of the T-shirts I've been seeing for sale that say, go Branden.
So it's become a thing now. One of my good friends, Joey Lose, who hosts a great show weekday afternoons on our classic rock station, KCMQ, turned me on to this. Let's go. So they're selling shirts now. Let's go, Branden. It's a dog whistle for.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. I'm not doing that.
So I've already reached out to a friend of mine who has an Amazon account so she can buy it. I'll pay her back.
You don't even have an Amazon account?
No.
Come on, man.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, man. So it's become a thing. So you need to find these shirts. Let's go, Branden is the shirt. It is safe. It is innocuous, and you are still making your point.
It's time for the Moment of the Day on Hot Talk 93.9, The Eagle.
This is why, Stephanie, this is why she can't leave. So I'm always late. Now I'm running way early.
And you surprised yourself. You fired the music bed and then you sat back in your chair and went, what?
What am I doing? By the way, I want to mention this. I was talking about... So I had a guest. For some reason, I thought he was at 6:35. I was wrong.
Very wrong. Not even a little wrong.
8:10, Dan Eberhart, CEO of Canary, wrote a piece for Forbes on high gas prices. Is Joe Biden to blame for the high gas prices? I thought he was supposed to be here at 6:35. I got it confused with 8:10. He's supposed to be here at 8:10. But you can see, 6:35, 8:10, right?
Yeah, tomato.
So Eric reached out via text at 874-9390. He says, hey, congrats on over your 1 year of sobriety. I've been sober for over 10 years, and I'm still scatterbrained. We're still entitled to that after everything that we have been through. Enjoy it while you can. I appreciate it. That, me, is your moment of the day.
They'll try again today. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
If Republicans would just get out of the damn way, we could get this all done.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer frustrated the GOP has been blocking in May again today a vote to advance a bill to suspend the debt limit, which the U.S. may hit in 2 weeks. Republicans say Democrats can figure a way on their own, and Fox's Kevin Corke reports they might.
The White House says a, quote, one-time change to Senate rules to prevent a Republican filibuster of legislation to suspend the debt ceiling is a real possibility.
Oh, quite frankly, there's not many options if they're going to be that irresponsible.
Now, President Biden took a trip to Michigan to push 2 bills also stalled in Congress.
To support these investments is to create a rising America. America is moving.
He said opposing them would lead to America's decline. Now, some Republicans back the infrastructure rebuild plan, but none support trillions of dollars in new spending on social programs held up by some moderate Democrats who want a smaller tax. The Supreme Court will hear an appeal today from a suspected terrorist detained at Guantanamo. Abu Zubaydah is trying to get information related to his 2002 capture and imprisonment, info the government once kept secret. 2 more scientists are sharing another Nobel Prize. Fox's Simon Owens here live with who and why.
Dave, the Nobel Prize in Chemistry has been awarded to 2 scientists for discoveries they made in California.
When I did this experiment, I didn't know what would happen, and I thought maybe it's a stupid idea.
German Benjamin List shares the prize with Briton David Macmillan. They each found a new way to build molecules.
This is very, very exciting, and I hope I live up to this recognition and continue discovering amazing things.
The judges said the winner's work is already helping to develop drugs and make chemistry more environmentally friendly.
America's listening to Fox News.
Now, when the news channels start using terms like quantitative easing and now tapering a lot, you know there's trouble ahead. What does it mean? Well, despite everything you hear, it just means less money in your pocket, fewer dollars to spend. Everything costs more. Food, gas, utilities, all going up. Does anything cost less than last year? It's bad enough if you're young, but if you're close to retirement, it could be a disaster for your savings. A gold or silver IRA or 401k with Noble Gold will solve this inflation problem for good. And they're giving away a free 5-ounce solid silver America the Beautiful bullion coin with each qualifying plan you start this month as a thank you. Not bad, huh? The best part? You'll speak to an expert. No hassle, no pressure, just a look at your options and what you can do to stop the Fed stealing your hard-earned money. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com or call us at 877-646-5347.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:03. We're expecting rain to continue throughout the day today, primarily in the afternoon. Give yourself some extra time. Temperature's not going to rise too much from where we are right now. We're right now at 65 degrees. Today's high about 71, and that rain will continue tonight. Good morning, everyone. Columbia's police chief announcing that charges will not be filed against 3 CPD officers who were involved in a deadly officer-involved shooting in 2020. Breaking news this morning. We've just received that release in the last 20 to 25 minutes from Chief Jeff Jones here in Columbia. The incident, you'll recall, happened on Sun Court in March 2020 when the officers tried to arrest the child molestation suspect, Curtis Haas. Haas died in an exchange of gunfire with police. The chief says the special prosecutor from Callaway County, Chris Wilson, has investigated that no charges will be filed against the 3 officers. The letter from the prosecutor, Mr. Wilson, says the officers were acting lawfully in their use of deadly force under state law. The chief will join us live here on Wake Up Columbia at about 7:10 this morning here in a few minutes right after our newscast. Meantime, another developing story. A convicted triple killer from Columbia has been executed in southeast Missouri's Bonne Terre despite calls for clemency from Pope Francis. Ernest Lee Johnson convicted of killing 3 employees at a Casey's convenience store in February 1994, a store that has since been torn down. Johnson's attorney Jeremy Weiss wanted the U.S. Supreme Court to stay the execution. He says the 8th Amendment prohibits executing intellectually disabled people. The U.S. Supreme Court declined to stay the execution. Governor Parson rejected the clemency request. He says Johnson's claim that he is not competent to be executed has been rejected by a jury and the courts. on 6 different occasions. Also, a former Columbia woman who lived near the now demolished Casey's in 1994 is critical of those who called for clemency for Ernest Lee Johnson.
The woman who lived across the street from the Columbia Casey's General Store where Ernest Lee Johnson killed 3 workers says she didn't understand the calls for clemency.
For someone who was so mentally disabled, he sure put together how to murder these people. Mary Bratcher's death was so brutal that the police asked me and my husband if we'd heard a shotgun blast.
Brenda says they sold their home soon after the 1994 killings. Johnson was accused of shooting and beating the victims to death with a hammer during a robbery to get money for drugs. John Marsh, the Eagle, 93.9.
100 to 150 city and county transportation officials are here in Columbia this morning. They're going to be having a transportation conference, and one of the big issues they're going to be talking about is gravel road maintenance, which continues to be an issue here in Boone County and across the state. The Missouri Association of County Transportation Officials opening this morning at 10 with a welcome from the Boone County Presiding Commissioner, Dan Atwell. Attendees include road supervisors, as well as public works directors, and county commissioners. They also will be discussing the issue of pavement problems. And Columbia's Fifth Ward City Councilman Matt Pitzer has concerns with a proposal to develop a conservation overlay to protect the natural features around Rockbridge Memorial State Park. The councilman tells 93.9 The Eagles Wake Up Columbia that the park is a great asset for the Columbia area. However,
this proposal was to, stop any annexation for 18 months and stop any sort of development within the city. I'm not sure that that's the best thing to do.
More than 2,000 residents have signed the petition asking the city to appoint a committee. The residents who've signed it describe Rockbridge Memorial State Park as an important natural, recreational, educational, and economic asset to Columbia. You can hear our full interview with the councilman, Mr. Pitzer, 939theeagle.com. 93.9 The Eagle News brought to you by the Candy Factory. They make fresh their secret caramel sauce for their caramel apples. You can pick them up daily. Candy Factory, downtown Columbia. Anniversary birthday any day. thecandyfactory.biz. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. In sports, one big story today, none bigger than the one that you're going to hear tonight on the Eagle. Cardinals and the Dodgers. Tonight's National League wild card game, winner take all. 1-game playoff. Adam Wainwright, 40 years old, taking on 37-year-old Max Scherzer on the mound. Just the second elimination game MLB postseason history. 2 starters ages 37 plus. First pitch 7:10 tonight. Chavez Ravine in Los Angeles. Catch all the action right here on 93.9 The Eagle. John Rooney, Mike Claiborne, Ricky Horton on the call coming up tonight. 93.9 The Eagle Sports also presented to you by the Candy Factory. Our news time is 7:07. Kevin, thank you. Right now it's partly cloudy, 65.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
708 93.9 The Eagle, our traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Roads right now and problems pretty quiet, which is good to see. If you do see a traffic issue or know of something, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
I think the way you actually back the blue and support our communities is actually supporting them in helping to prevent crimes, helping to intervene in the cycle of violent crime that sees teenagers and kids get killed on the streets of Kansas City every day. And I disagree with those who are trying to politicize it. I think my friends on the right are really trying to say back the blue, but not offering any solutions for how our cities can be safer.
Mayor of Kansas City, Quentin Lucas, doesn't know what he's talking about. As a matter of fact, a judge. So that was Quentin Lucas telling us back in the spring. He yanked, by the way, in a very dastardly fashion. He waited till a lot of officials went out of town in Kansas City, called a meeting together real quick, yanked money from the police department in Kansas City. Jackson County judge ruled yesterday that he broke the law. So a judge is looking at this case like, yeah, you broke 2 laws in passing these ordinances last spring that changed appropriations for the police budget. Matter of fact, KCPD Board of Police Commissioners filed a lawsuit. They moved. Here's what the mayor did there. And he's saying there, here's how you back the blue. Well, you certainly don't do it by yanking $45 million from the budget. And I want to remind you, I don't do name calling here anymore. Okay? Judge looked at this and was like, yeah, Mayor, you broke the law. And I hope this story got hyped, by the way, whenever this happens. All these liberal news outlets are like, oh my God, look at that. There's another police chief or another mayor yanking money. I hope this story, I'll bet you a week's worth of Hannah the producer's salary.
Dude.
That it won't get as much hype today. You want to take that bet? Do you think it'll get as much hype from a lot of the national news outlets? National news outlets were all over it when the mayor yanked the money from police, the people that protect us. The reason I wear my back the blue bracelet, to support my sister, to support people in law enforcement in Columbia and in Jefferson City and in Fulton and in California. That's why I wear it. I hope these national news outlets will give this story as much hype. I want to switch gears here a little bit along the lines of law enforcement. Police Chief Jeff Jones, Columbia Police Department. We're all familiar with the officer-involved shooting. This happened back in the spring, late in the afternoon. You might recall listening to the Mike Ferguson show here that afternoon, and officer-involved shooting. Chief Jeff Jones joining us now. So we have a special prosecutor appointed in this case. Chief, what did this prosecutor rule in relation to this officer-involved shooting?
The ruling is that he has decided not to prosecute anyone involved in the shooting from the police side. As you know, anytime that there's an officer-involved shooting, we have it investigated both criminally by a third party. This happened to be the Highway Patrol, which we normally work with. And then we also do our internal affairs investigation. And that criminal investigation has to go to a prosecutor to make a final determination as to whether it goes to grand jury or they just charge it in a complaint or they take no action. And the prosecutor found that the officers acted within the law and that they were acting in self-defense and defense of others.
And I want to ask you, and if there's anything you don't want to answer, I get it, I understand. Just say so, Chief. Did you were you confident that this is how this was going to turn out anyway?
Well, I get limited facts, and even the morning after when I did the press conference on the shooting, I had things that I was told or that people perceived that may or may not have been what actually transpired. It's a traumatic event. People recall things differently. They recall more things later. That's how the brain works. So I was confident in the officers to make good decisions, but you don't know every fact and thing until the investigation's done. And I'm thankful for the Highway Patrol that they did a thorough investigation. There's always that thing in the back of your mind, did something happen that I don't know about? And the officers have the same cloud hanging over them. Is there something I could have done better? Is there something that I did wrong? And having this come to a conclusion this way, helps the officers move on from it the best that they can. It's always going to affect them personally, but I'm confident in the officers. It's just that's a lot going on at one time, and you don't know everything that transpired to someone who wasn't there. That's a key word, what people perceived, and that human element, too. You've got to remember these officers, they were doing exactly as they were supposed to be doing, and I am grateful to them. I can't imagine, even under the circumstances, the magnitude of what you do in the line of duty, especially in that situation. I am grateful that the officers, I guess, get some closure to this, and I'm grateful that that little thing in the back of your mind, Chief, can be discarded. Chief Jeff Jones, Columbia Police Department. We're learning this morning that the special prosecutor anytime there's an officer-involved shooting, this is the natural progression. But they're saying, officers acted accordingly, and this relates to the officer-involved shooting that happened on Stadium Boulevard back in the spring.
Chief, we appreciate
this. I wanted to correct you. This is actually the one on Sun Court.
Sun Court.
Okay,
Sun Court.
Thank you. This is the one on Sun Court.
Instant fact check. I appreciate that.
Chief, and this was March 2020, correct? Sun Court?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I appreciate that. Two quick follow-ups on this, and we appreciate you joining us here. Number one, the 3 officers who were involved obviously will not be prosecuted because the prosecutor has cleared them. He said they were acting lawfully. That was Chris Wilson in Callaway County. So 2 quick questions. Have those officers, are they still on administrative leave? And what is their status right now? And 2, can we get a copy of that letter from Prosecutor Wilson to you?
You should have it in the press release that we put out. So that letter should be out there.
Okay.
But if you don't have it, reach out to us, to our communications office, and we'll get that to you.
All right. And then, Chief, and apologies for getting the story I was thinking about conflated with this other story. So the shooting, the officer-involved shooting that happened on Stadium by the mall earlier this year, where are we with that?
So we have been through our internal affairs process, and we have had it investigated by the Highway Patrol, and it is in the hands of another special prosecutor, and we're awaiting their findings.
All right, Chief Jeff Jones. And let's do this because I want to leave on a good note. Too often, the good work, as a matter of fact, that's how, prior to Chief Jeff Jones becoming chief, it's how I got to know him. He did an act of kindness that he wanted to stay quiet, and I didn't let that happen. And to this day, I apologize. But I want to highlight some of your officers just won some pretty nice awards. Can you tell us for a minute about Detective Mark Fitzgerald, who won the Officer of the Year award?
Yeah, so, Mark, professionally and personally, he's just a good person. And if you look at Mark's work, he works in the narcotics unit currently, but he is very diligent. He is a very caring person, and he is one of the people on my staff that works with people who family members succumb to drug overdoses, and he investigates those. And the people who sell the drugs that end up resulting in the overdose death. But he is just a compassionate, kind person who works very hard every day, very deserving of the award.
And I appreciate that he's, there's that, hey, okay, so you're having problems with addiction. Maybe let's see what kind of resources we might be able to get you so that you and I don't have an encounter again. Sergeant Rick, and I want to make sure I forgot his last name, Harrell?
That's right.
Sergeant Rick Harrell, he was named Supervisor of the Year. Everybody said he's just a very fair, reasonable guy. He's honest with everybody. A couple of custodians were recognized with Civilian of the Year, Bob DeClue and Kathy Rouleau, some who work within the police department. They went way above and beyond to make sure that everything was sanitized and cleaned within the police department over the past year and a half. And tell us about Patrol Officer Jeremiah Owens, Rookie of the Year. Tell us about this guy.
He is a hard charger too. He's out there really wants to make a difference, always smiling. When things get heated, he's oftentimes the guy that steps in and says, let me take this over for you. If he sees a cop being overwhelmed, then he tries to step in. And seeing that in a new police officer, you expect that of the older guys and gals, but when you see a newer police officer do that, it really stands out. So I think he's got a lot of great potential, and we'll see good things from Jeremiah.
Columbia Police Department Chief Jeff Jones, anything else that you would like to add to be of service to the residents here in Columbia before we let you go?
I do. We're going to put some stuff out, and this is probably a little premature, but you like to be ahead of the curve, I think. We've had a lot of overdose deaths as a result of fentanyl and fake pills, drugs that people don't expect fentanyl to be in, cocaine, methamphetamine laced with fentanyl. But we have a lot of people dying. More than 20 this year that we have responded to that have been deaths. We've had over 100 overdoses that we as the police have responded to, and that's just a fraction of the true number. So on the 19th of October, we'll be putting something out, but we're going to have a town hall meeting. We will have people from the narcotics unit there, the health department, survivors of overdose, and you get trained so you can use Narcan, and we're going to distribute Narcan. So it's really important that people make an effort to be educated in this, because you never know who might succumb to this in your family, your workplace, and just in the community. So I'd really appreciate people to pay attention to the issue. It's a way that each one of us can make an impact.
Chief Jeff Jones, thank you so much for joining us, getting up early. I know you have a family. You have a lot of things going on. Thanks for joining us this morning on Wake Up Columbia. As a matter of fact, I have a very near and dear friend who lost somebody very close to them. Thought they were getting pills, thought it was one thing, fentanyl. Guess where the fentanyl comes from? Mexico. Guess how easy it is to get into the United States since January 20th. Quick phone call from Garth, 874-9390, before we get into What's Hot with Hannah on 93.9 The Eagle. What can we do for you, Garth?
Hey, Branden, real quick, in regards to this Mayor Quinn Lucas thing, I was listening to a Kansas City station, because that's where I moved to, and last week they were talking about KCMO Police Department. Morale has never been lower, and they are losing 17 officers a month, either through early retirement or quitting because morale is so low of what's going on with defunding the department in KCMO. Just thought I'd throw that out to the listeners.
Thank you. And that's correct. As a matter of fact, Judge Kent, here's from leadership within the police department. KCPD has seen a record number of resignations and retirements in 2021. That is a fact. This year, more than 100 officers have resigned or retired. 35 more will leave this year. That's nearly double the total number of resignations and retirements than any other year in Kansas City Police Department history. These are facts. It is tied to Mayor Quentin Lucas, who acted illegally, according to a judge now, yanking $45 million in funding from them. Judge saying it's illegal. Hannah, what's hot with Hannah today?
It's a story of instant regret.
It's coming up 7:25-ish here on 93.9 The Eagle. Good morning, I'm Branden. Rathert, Salter Lawn Service. Salter, one call does it all, and I would encourage you to make that one call today for fall cleanup. You can see leaves already starting to fall, and you might, I got time. We know how this works, right? I got time. I don't have to worry about leaf removal. And then all of a sudden we wake up what the? Yeah, leaves all over the yard. It happens overnight. It's like a magic trick, right? That's why you want to call Salter. Salter Lawn Service. Call them now. Set up some time for not just leaf removal, but then a yard cleanup while they're there, man. Just have them go to work for you. Salter Lawn Service. Salter, one call does it all.
When you need to know, depend on us. You're listening to Wake Up Columbia. Hot Talk 93.9, The Eagle.
Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle at 93.9theeagle.com. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. Stephanie Bell has the day off. Coming up, State Senator Caleb Rowden. He is going to be joining us. We want to ask him about what his plans are. Is he going to run for the seat currently held by Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler? Also, he sent out a letter. Justice Department. If you go and you care about your kids' education and what happens at school as you go and speak, and this is not just people that get that make threats. The Department of Justice wants to use their arm of the law. They want to use force, in effect, to stop parents from talking at school board meetings. Want to get his reaction. What's in that letter? We'll do that at 7:35. Right now it's 7:25-ish.
Yeah, 7:29.
Which means it's time for What's Hot with Hannah.
There's a video posted on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page that is adorable, but that hurts my heart a little bit because I related to this as a kid. It's a kid who really wants to try Hershey's baking cocoa. He really wants to. And his mom is filming, and she even says, I told him it's not going to be good. He insists that he wants to try it. So he tries it. It's nasty. That's how I was punished as a kid. Instead of getting my mouth washed out with soap, we got baking cocoa.
Well, this kid, experience is the best teacher. Fox, another deadline looms in Congress. They have that story for you. Brian Hauswirth, CPD officer-involved shooting. We have an update this morning. Caleb Rowden is here at 7:35.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. Senate Democrats will try again to raise the nation's debt ceiling that's been blocked by Senate Democrats using the filibuster to require 60 votes, not the Democrats' 50.
We're telling Republicans, we're not asking you to vote for it. Just let us vote for it.
Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says Democrats can do it on their own. It's just more complicated.
And I hope our friends on the other side will step up and take care of it.
President Biden suggests the filibuster rule could be dropped to make the process easier. The Biden administration's relaxing rules for a public service workers' student loan forgiveness program.
It was started in 2007 to get more college grads to go into public service, but a whopping 90% of program applicants have been denied. Through October of next year, those borrowers who have worked 10 years in a qualifying job will be eligible for loan relief no matter what kind of federal loan or repayment plan they have, and past loan payments that were previously ineligible will now count.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 7:31 is our time. It is currently 62 degrees here in Columbia, 61 in Jefferson City. We're expecting rain today, a high of 71. Tonight, a slight chance of showers and a low near 62 degrees. Good morning, everyone. We begin this hour. Some breaking news. You just heard from Columbia's Police Chief Jeff Jones, and he says charges will not be filed against 3 CPD officers who were involved in that deadly officer-involved shooting in 2020. It happened on Sun Court when officers tried to arrest child molestation suspect Curtis Haas, who died in an exchange of gunfire with police. There's a lot more information in the letter from the special prosecutor, Chris Wilson, who is from Callaway County, and I've read through that. I'm about ready to post a story on our website. But in his letter, he cites video evidence. He looked at the body cam, the body footage, and he also got video footage from a civilian eyewitness and the body camera video from the officers, the 3 of them. According to the prosecutor, Chris Wilson, he says, based on the video footage, Haas showed a handgun while fleeing from officers and pointed the gun at an officer before barricading himself in a home. At times at windows, he was armed with a rifle. It says that Haas pointed the rifle at an officer out the window before the officer fired at Haas, and then Haas then fired at an armored CPD vehicle in which the officers were stationed. At least 3 officers returned fire, striking Haas, who was struck by 3 bullets. The letter says Haas was armed with several firearms, including rifles, pistols, and a shotgun. This is the final quote here from Chris Wilson, the prosecutor. Quote, "It is clear from the video and reports Haas did not intend to surrender to officers peacefully and was able and willing to use lethal force and against those officers attempting to take him into custody." End of quote. We'll have that story up on the website here in a little bit, 939theeagle.com. Another developing story, a convicted triple killer from Colombia has been executed in southeast Missouri's Bonne Terre despite calls for clemency from Pope Francis. Ernest Lee Johnson, convicted of killing 3 employees at a Casey's convenience store in February 1994. That store has since been torn down. His attorney, Jeremy Weiss, wanted the U.S. Supreme Court to stay the execution, saying the Eighth Amendment prohibits executing intellectually disabled people. Governor Parson rejected that. He said that the claim that he is not competent to be executed was rejected by a jury and the courts 6 different times. A former Columbia woman who lived near the now demolished Casey's in 1994 is critical of those who called for clemency from Ernest Lee Johnson. You'll hear from her. Her name is Brenda, coming up in our 8 o'clock news. 100 to 150 city and county officials from across Missouri will be hearing a legislative update from national and state leaders during a 2-day transportation conference. It'll get underway this morning here in Columbia.
The Missouri Association of County Transportation Officials will open their meeting this morning at 10 in Columbia, with a welcome from Boone County Presiding Commissioner Dan Atwill. Attendees include road supervisors, public works directors, and county commissioners from across the state. One of the biggest issues facing rural Missouri counties is gravel road maintenance, which will be discussed at the conference. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Don, thank you. And CPS patrons here in Columbia have approved 6 bond issues in the past 11 years. CPS has opened the John Warner Middle School, and the addition and renovation at Rockbridge Elementary School is underway. The project there, new softball fields and a practice field have been added at Hickman High School. The numbers are included in CPS's new annual report. It has been mailed to district patrons within the last few days. CPS maintains 799 acres. They have about 2.4 million square feet of roof space. 93.9 The Eagle News is presented to you live by Dr. Kent Willett. Willett Dental Associates practices conscious sedation dentistry to relax your fears. Make an appointment now, 573-445-5300, WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:35. In sports, Cardinals face the Dodgers tonight. National League wild card game, 1-game playoff, winner take all. Wainwright against Scherzer. It is just the second elimination game in Major League Baseball postseason history. 2 starting pitchers, ages 37 plus. First pitch 7:10. Chavez Ravine, L.A. Catch all the action right here on 93.9 The Eagle. Again, it is a 1-game playoff, and the Cardinals on the road tonight. Hear all the action tonight. John Rooney, Mike Claiborne, and Ricky Horton will have the call. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:36.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
In our traffic check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com. Find a job. Post your job opening today. Roads are quiet right now on the roads here in Columbia. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Heat.
My friends in the other team have no problem giving billionaires and millionaires gigantic tax breaks.
Snake oil salesman.
This is a tax cut.
Snake oil salesman.
You know, what it does is...
So remember last week the lies were, hey, this infrastructure package, the cost is zero. Aaron Hedlund, economics professor at Mizzou, was on this very show debunking those claims that Pelosi and Biden were all making. The cost is zero. Now it's gone from the cost is zero to these are tax cuts. My goodness. Wow. You double down on your lies, man. I dig it. Welcome into Wake Up Columbia. Brian Hauswirth, Hannah, the producer. My name is Branden. Rathert, Stephanie Bell off for the rest of the week. Also out of D.C., we're learning this week, Department of Justice wants to crack down on parents who go and speak at school board meetings. And I don't want to over-exaggerate this. Caleb Rowden, passionate about this topic. As a matter of fact, firing off a letter, we welcome in State Senator Caleb Rowden. So, Caleb, so this is beyond, from what I am gathering, what I am seeing, if we dig for the truth, the Department of Justice, it sounds like Joe wants to really use, hey, we don't even hardly want parents to speak at school board meetings anymore. We don't want them to be even passionate. We don't even want them to yell. Am I overselling that a little bit?
Probably not too much. I mean, it's been, we saw that. I saw the letter from the National School Board Association, I think at the end of last week. And then, and it kind of piqued my interest a little bit. I was concerned about the content and what they were kind of portraying as reality. And then you see the letter from Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, here just a couple of days ago. That's really an affirmation and a doubling down of this notion. And, I think it's crazy. I mean, I think the idea that you would, number one, that you would lump parents really in any way into a scenario where they're being charged under the Patriot Act, being charged in the same manner as the perpetrators of 9/11 is wild. I mean, I think the clearly there are tons, and nobody is on this call or otherwise is advocating violence. But there are plenty of statutes in place, both federally and at the state level, that would cover the types of activities that they're talking about. If there was violence at a school board meeting or something like that, clearly there are plenty of places and ways that you can be charged in that reality. And so now I can't imagine a scenario where the National School Board Association didn't understand that federalizing law enforcement against these parents and weaponizing the Department of Justice was a political statement, right? And so I had people online accusing me yesterday of politicizing, this situation and making it worse. The exact opposite is true. We're just responding to clearly what is meant to be a politicization and a weaponizing of law enforcement against parents, which I think is abhorrent.
And I think they're trying to scare people. And I know you as a parent, Caleb, I know you'd be passionate about what happens with your kids. And I don't think you're a terrorist at all, nor do I think that you should be treated like one. I think, and I want to get your opinion on this, this whole, I have never, and you've known me for a while, my show has never been doom and gloom and coming on 3.5 hours oh my God, we're going to hell in a handbasket. My show has never been about that, but I am telling you what this administration is doing with the 600, anytime you make a bank transaction over $600, IRS wants to monitor it. We want to sick the Department of Justice on parents who speak at school board meetings. They are out to scare people. I mean, I think they are intentionally trying to scare people. Vaccine mandates, you got to do it. Scare people. You do it our way or no way. It's our way or the highway. And I don't think I'm exaggerating on that point, Senator.
No, I don't think you are either. I mean, I think you have what you have, and this has become pretty crystal clear as we've moved into, the end of close to the end of the first year of the Biden administration. You have a Democratic Party who is effectively, just a party of socialism at this point. And you have a president who said, he wanted to bring people together, kind of ran as the moderate in the group, the kind of the antithesis to the extreme on both sides, but this president is effectively absent, right? Like that, there's not really a scenario where you can say President Joe Biden and the people around him are pushing back against, any sort of extremism that's happening. The IRS stuff with the bank account that you're talking about, they're just letting it happen. So that's either a product of they don't care, they're incompetent, or any other number of things, all of which are not good. And so you basically have the extreme wing of the Democratic Party running the country, and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and the people that could stand up and say, hey, look, this is craziness. Let's move back to some moderation here. They know that if they do it, they'll get obliterated. And so, you have what is turning out to be, I think, maybe the light at the end of the tunnel is what I presume is going to be an absolute bloodbath in 2022. I mean, I think there's no scenario in which, very, very small scenario in which Nancy Pelosi continues to be the speaker. A smaller scenario, I think, where Chuck Schumer continues to be the majority leader. And so, I mean, I think 2 years of Republican control of Congress with a Democratic president who is largely absent, probably brings, at least for the moment, a little bit of stability to the country, and not this kind of doom and gloom. The world is ending, so let the government take over everything.
As a matter of fact, Terry McAuliffe, Democrat running for governor in Virginia's Zoom meeting yesterday, he criticized the president. They're the same. They're both Democrats. Criticized the president. And if anybody knows, David Tyson Smith, I've talked to him from time to time, Martha Stevens, some of our local Democrat lawmakers. I'd be curious to know if anybody listening right now knows them, talks to them. So I'm guessing there's got to be the number of people that are walking around here at 7:44 in the morning going, I cannot believe I voted for Joe Biden. I can't imagine how they feel. So if anybody knows Martha Stevens, ask her, how do you live with yourself with this latest revelation that they want to sic the Department of Justice on parents for speaking up for their kids' education? State Senator Caleb Rowden here on 93.9 The Eagle.
Branden, thank you, Senator. We appreciate you joining us live on Wake Up Columbia. It's always good to have you on our program. Of course, you are the Senate Majority Leader in Jefferson City. I want to go back. The National School Boards Association has written a letter, and they basically asked President Biden and his administration for assistance. They give some examples, and one here, it's in Ohio. They quote a letter that was mailed to an Ohio school board member. It said, quote, "We are coming after you. You are forcing them," meaning students, to wear masks for no reason in this world other than control, and for that you will pay dearly, end of quote. It calls the member a filthy traitor. The letter also says a meeting was disrupted in Michigan when a man performed a Nazi salute to protest masking. Not a lot of details on that. A, your reaction to those two incidents, and B, the association, the National School Boards Association, is likening what's happening to a form of domestic terrorism. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think clearly we all know that there are crazy people on both sides of any issue, right? I think there are people who take their passion too far, and I think in any instance where violence or threats of violence is at play, that should be dealt with accordingly. My concern or my frustration is less with saying let's condone violence, which clearly nobody wants to do, but to say the idea that we would effectively federalize law enforcement against these parents is absurd. I mean, it is one of the most egregious overreaches of the Department of Justice that probably you've ever seen. And it's not warranted, right? We're not saying that those people that make these threats or carry out threats, which again, I'm not sure there's been violence anywhere in the country, but where those things are carried out, there are plenty of opportunities for those people to be punished, with assault statutes and all sorts of other things, and even things online bullying and things like that. There's places to take care of that. So I mean, I think taking it from that, which I think is where it belongs, local law enforcement, to federalizing the Department of Justice, and in some cases prosecuting these people under the Patriot Act, that clearly is a political ploy. It is clearly meant to threaten these folks, to scare them into submission, and to get them to not make their voices heard when they feel like they should. So it's not a matter of, and it's important to find the nuance here. And it's not a matter of just saying violence, let's condone the violence and let parents do whatever they want. No, in the instances where folks go over the line, just like we do in all other parts of civilized society, there are laws, and we should be governed by those laws, but we shouldn't weaponize the Department of Justice against concerned parents.
All right, State Senator Caleb Branden, gotta ask. I know your name has been tossed around out there. I know you've mentioned in a tweet before, kind of saying, "Yeah, I'm thinking about running for that 4th congressional district seat currently held by Hartzler. She's leaving it to run for U.S. Senate 2022." Where are you with that, Mr. Rowden?
Yeah, We've been, the last couple of months, we've been giving it a lot of consideration, a lot of prayerful consideration. We're not ready to make any announcements or decisions yet. I do think the fourth district needs need strong leadership. I think it needs a governing conservative there that can kind of be less concerned about going on Fox News and making headlines and more about rolling your sleeves up and getting stuff done. I think that's something certainly I can bring to the table. But it's a big decision, obviously, with a family and a growing family. So we've been very intentional and very methodical about taking our time and making a decision. I would expect a public decision and announcement, one way or the other, probably in the next couple of weeks.
Next couple of weeks, keep us posted. And I got to ask this: if you don't want to answer, that's cool as always. You can say I'm not comfortable answering that. I feel like over the past several years, at least up to this most recent legislative session, our local contingent of lawmakers conservative lawmakers have always had a really good relationship. We know Sarah Walsh, state representative. We know she is in that race. I believe you guys have always had a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
How does that go, or have you guys talked about this at all? Because she's already in that race.
Yeah, we've talked, and would continue to talk. I mean, I think again, it's a matter of the right person for the job at the right time. I mean, I will never, I can't imagine a scenario where I ever say anything bad about Sarah, because we have a good relationship. But I do think the magnitude of the things that are going on in the country and, the stuff that we've just been talking about and what probably will continue to be the case, you have to have somebody there who has shown and has a track record of big, important conservative wins. And so, that's not a matter of, relationships are what they are. And I ran against Stephen Weber in 2016, and we beat the bejesus out of each other. And I probably would still call him a friend even now. So, you can run political races, and sometimes you got to do that with folks on the same side. And so we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I think it's less about relationships and more about the future of the country and more about, what's the next generation going to inherit. And that's really, really important to me as somebody who has 3 kids.
Because ultimately you and Sarah do want the same thing. State Senator Caleb Rowden on 93.9 The Eagle. This is an interview you will be able to go back and hear on the Wake Up Columbia podcast, Wake Up Columbia on demand anytime. Senator Rowden, thank you for always appreciative of your time. I know you got a busy household nowadays with the arrival of a new one. Keep us posted on your decision. And if there's anything that 93.9 The Eagle can do to be of service, please let us know.
Thanks, guys.
Coming up, a statement from Facebook.
always certain, sometimes even right. Here's Branden at Wake Up. You want Branden Rathert on that?
Yeah, why not?
This is Branden Rathert, Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
Before we get into this message from Facebook, I want to thank Tara for reminding me, Missouri, man, we got to pay attention to what's happening in these schools. Department of Justice wants to go after you if you speak too loudly and too passionately about your kids' education. I mean, you'd be a terrorist. They would utilize the Patriot Act to try to go after you. Do not forget this. Remember, back in September, Missouri School Board Association, back in September of, I think it was 2019, when parents said, hey, we want to record some of the meetings with school personnel for our kids so we can, they said it was creepy that you would want to do that. 7:56, now a statement from Facebook.
Thank you for having me. Yes, we here at Facebook would just like to say, I thought you deleted Facebook. We just think it's kind of funny that last night everybody was like, #delete Facebook. And then this morning they're like, #Facebook down. You know, because like, which one is it? Did y'all already delete it or is it down? Because it can't be down if you deleted it. You know what I mean? Are we supposed to apologize for paying attention to you and knowing what you're doing and where you are and what you like because we are listening to you constantly? Because guess who else is listening to you? Nobody. We're the only ones, okay? Everybody wants to bring up Tom from MySpace. Tom's our best friend. Tom left you. Okay, do you think Tom thinks about you now? He doesn't. He's a photographer now. Okay, Tom. And I guess the last thing that we'd like to say is good luck remembering your mom's birthday now, you pieces of shit.
It's from Facebook. We're the only ones listening to you when you talk about this and you talk about that. I love that. By the way, Facebook, the explanation for the outage the other day is basically... is complicated. You wouldn't understand it. Coming up, Fox News, another deadline looms in Congress. It's Republican v. Republican in Idaho. Brian Hauswirth is here. New developments this morning in a Columbia Police Department officer-involved shooting. He has that at 8:03. High gas prices. Do we lay these at the feet of the president? Dan Eberhart joins us. He just wrote a piece for Forbes about this. He's here at 8:10.
It's yet another issue stalled in Congress. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
The debt ceiling needs to be addressed. The only question is who should address it.
Republican Senate Leader Mitch McConnell says Democrats do on their own. which they're working on. Fox's Rachel Sutherland has an update live.
Dave, the federal government won't be able to pay its bills in a couple of weeks if Congress doesn't raise the debt ceiling. Republicans say they won't help while Democrats plan to spend trillions on President Biden's Build Back Better plan. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
They seem perfectly at ease telling the American people, including our active military, our Social Security recipients, and all those who rely on Medicare, that they are unequivocally the party of default.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has warned of dire consequences if the U.S. goes into delinquency for the first time in history. Dave?
Rachel, some Americans will get help with their debt. The Biden administration is relaxing rules for student loan forgiveness for teachers, social workers, other public servants eligible if they've made 10 years of payments. Weeks after 13,000 Haitian migrants were led into the U.S. from that camp in Del Rio, Texas, more are coming, even though the White House is telling them not to.
Panamanian officials confirmed to Fox News that tens of thousands of migrants, many Haitian, are heading towards our southern border right now. This as a group of nearly a dozen GOP governors head to the border today for a summit led by Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. Los Angeles could become the next city to require anyone who goes out to eat or to a bar or a gym or salon or entertainment venue to be vaccinated. The city council will consider it today. New York City has a similar COVID mandate and one for schools.
A federal judge in New York rejecting another attempt by teachers to delay enforcement of a citywide vaccine requirement for public school employees. Anti-vaccine advocates were hoping to set a precedent that could help overturn other mandates across the country.
Fox's Steve Harrigan. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, when the news channels start using terms like quantitative easing and now tapering a lot, you know there's trouble ahead. What does it mean? Well, despite everything you hear, it just means less money in your pocket, fewer dollars to spend. Everything costs more. Food, gas, utilities, all going up. Does anything cost less than last year? It's bad enough if you're young, but if you're close to retirement, it could be a disaster for your savings. A gold or silver IRA or 401k with Noble Gold will solve this inflation problem for good. And they're giving away a free 5-ounce solid silver America the Beautiful bullion coin with each qualifying plan you start this month as a thank you. Not bad, huh? The best part? You'll speak to an expert. No hassle, no pressure, just a look at your options and what you can do to stop the Fed stealing your hard-earned money. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com or call us at 877-646-5347.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:03. We're expecting fog throughout the early morning hours and a chance of rain and possible storms after 1 o'clock. Today's high 71. Rain tonight with a low near 62. Right now it's 64 degrees. Here in Columbia at 63 in Jefferson City. Good morning, everyone. Columbia's police chief announcing that the charges will not be filed against 3 CPD officers involved in a deadly officer-involved shooting in 2000. It happened in March 2000, Sun Court, when officers tried to arrest the child molestation suspect, Curtis Haas. The chief, Jeff Jones, joining us live on Wake Up Columbia about an hour ago. He says the special prosecutor, Chris Wilson of Callaway County, has investigated. No charges will be filed against the 3 officers. Wilson's letter says the officers acted lawfully. He looked at the video evidence, the body cam footage. He also looked at civilian video shot by a civilian in that area. We have the full letter from the prosecutor, Chris Wilson of Callaway County, along with the story up on our website right now, 939theeagle.com. It is a 2-paragraph letter, and we've posted that in its entirety for you to read. Meantime, a convicted triple killer from Columbia has been executed in southeast Missouri's Bonne Terre, despite calls for clemency from Pope Francis. Ernest Lee Johnson, convicted of killing 3 employees at a Casey's convenience store here in Columbia in February of 1994. That store has since been torn down. Johnson's lawyer, Jeremy Weiss, wanted the U.S. Supreme Court to stay the execution. He says the 8th Amendment prohibits executing intellectually disabled people. U.S. Supreme Court declined to stay the execution, and the governor rejected the request for clemency. He says Johnson's claim that he wasn't competent to be executed was rejected by a jury and the court 6 times. There were a number of protests that were held around the state. There was one outside the governor's office in Jefferson City at the Capitol yesterday, another one outside the Boone County Courthouse yesterday, and then protests as well in St. Louis and Kansas City. One former Columbia woman who lived near that Casey's in 1994 is critical of those who called for clemency. We get those details from my colleague John Marsh.
The woman who lived across the street from the Columbia Casey's General Store where Ernest Lee Johnson killed 3 workers says she didn't understand the calls for clemency.
For someone who was so mentally disabled, he sure put together how to murder these people. Mary Bratcher's death was so brutal that the police asked me and my husband if we'd heard a shotgun blast.
Brenda says they sold their home soon after the 1994 killings. Johnson was accused of shooting and beating the victims to death with a hammer during a robbery to get money for drugs. John Marsh, the Eagle, 93.9.
John, thank you. 100 to 150 city and county officials from across Missouri will hear a legislative update from the National Association of County Engineers during their 2-day transportation conference in Columbia. It's the Missouri Association of County Transportation Officials. They open this morning at 10. The welcome speech will be from our Boone County Presiding Commissioner, Dan Atwell, county commissioners, public works directors, road supervisors from all 114 counties in town today. One of the big issues they're talking about, gravel road maintenance, a big issue here in Boone County across the state. And Columbia's Fifth Ward City Councilman has concerns with a proposal to develop a conservation overlay, to protect the natural features around the Rockbridge Memorial State Park. Councilman Matt Pitzer tells 93.9 The Eagles Wake Up Columbia that the state park is a great asset for the Columbia area. He's not sure this is the best way to do it. More than 2,000 residents have signed a petition. They want the city to appoint a committee to develop this overlay to protect the natural features around the park if and when they're annexed into the city. The petition organizer, Jan Weaver, describes Rockbridge Memorial State Park as an important natural, recreational, educational, and economic asset to Columbia as well. And we've posted her letter as well, 939theeagle.com. Our news is brought to you this morning on this Wednesday by the Callaway Bank. Life can be unpredictable, but your bank shouldn't be. You can text or call 7 days a week. The Callaway Bank is with you for the moments that matter. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:07. In sports, Cardinals face the Dodgers tonight. National League wild card game, 1-game playoff, winner take all. Father time on the mound. 40-year-old Adam Wainwright facing 37-year-old Max Scherzer. 2 great pitchers on the mound. Just the second elimination game, MLB history with postseason history. 2 starting pitchers, ages 37 plus. First pitch, 7:10. Chavez Ravine in Los Angeles. Catch all the action right here on 93.9 The Eagle. It'll be John Rooney, the primary announcer tonight. Ricky Horton as well. Mike Claiborne on the call. Sports brought to you by Woods Basement Systems, the most reviewed contractor for all things with your basement. Free estimate, 1-800-388-9326. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:08. Kevin, thank you. It's 64 degrees in Columbia.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check is brought to you by MidmoHires.com at 8:08. The local company is looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Not seeing anything on the roads this morning to be too concerned about. However, if you do see a traffic issue or something, a wreck we need to know about, certainly give us a call or a text. We'll have breaking news immediately. Another update coming up in less than 30 minutes. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
My friends in the other team have no problem giving billionaires and millionaires gigantic tax breaks.
Snake oil salesman.
This is a tax cut.
Snake oil salesman.
You know, what it does is...
That's the big thing in D.C. today. So remember last week we had Pelosi lying that the cost is zero. We had Biden lying about this infrastructure package. The cost is zero. Heck, we even had Shirley Jackson Lee lying. You heard the audio. The border is safe and secure. They flat out lied. Now, not only are they lying, they're digging in deeper. This is a tax cut. And obviously, Biden facing it from everywhere, especially here in mid-Missouri, because it's not a tax cut. Everything is going up, including the price of gasoline. And especially, we're getting harder hit here in Missouri. We just had that new gas tax went into effect. Save your receipts, save your receipts, save your receipts. You can get reimbursed on that extra 2.5 cents in that tax and gasoline.
The way you say receipts is interesting.
I know, and I think you're putting it politely.
Yes, I am.
I get it from friends. I get it on text. You say receipts. It's receipt. Yeah, I know. It's another habit, another bad habit I can't get out of. I got rid of the habit of drinking.
You know, that was a big one.
That was a big one.
That was an important one to get rid of.
All these other things I'm working on. So gas prices are the cheapest I'm finding for the most part, $2.99 a gallon, $2.99 a gallon. I want to bring in Dan Eberhart. He is the CEO of Canary Drilling. Wrote a phenomenal piece in Forbes magazine. I called him and said, Dan, can you come and talk about this? And he said, sure. I got to start with first, Dan. I apologize if you got some salty messages from producer Hannah. For some reason, I had that it was 6:35 this morning. And so we called. There was no answer. And it was miscommunication on my part. So I apologize if you got some nasty voicemails from Hannah, okay?
They weren't nasty. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so before we get specifically into your piece, I wonder about this. Anytime any president, okay, unemployment is up, it's president's fault. Unemployment is down, kudos to the president, depending on who's in charge. Gas prices are down, let's thank the president. Gas prices are up, let's thank the president. How much of it right now lays at the feet of Biden?
I would put that at about 75%. I think his policies are destructive for consumers regarding energy prices in general and specifically the oil price.
So 25%. Did I hear you right?
Yeah, I think the 25% is it's a good economy, and that's pushing stuff up a little bit.
Okay, and I think one of the other things is that last year compared to a year ago, we were all paying. Man, gas was incredibly cheap. Now it's higher, and of course here in Missouri, we've got the higher. We've got that added on 2.5 cent tax per gallon. So 25%. So tell us about the policies that Biden crafts that leads to being, in your mind, a quarter responsible for these high fuel prices.
No. I think that Biden's like 35% responsible. 25%, I'm saying, is a good economy. But Look, there's a few issues. One, he's reduced or canceled new offshore drilling. He has canceled fracking on federal land, and he has provided a huge amount of subsidies for solar and wind. And he has put basically a wet blanket on investing in the industry by promoting the Green New Deal and what I call Green New Deal light. But there's several kind of nitpicky things in these bills that have passed through Congress that are kind of anti-oil and gas and pro renewable energy. And what Biden has really done that's wrong to me is lately he said, hey, look, the price is high. OPEC, we need you to drill more oil so we can get the price down. And to me, this is gobsmacking because he didn't say, hey, Western Pennsylvania, hey, North Dakota, hey, Texas, we want more American oil with American jobs and American economic activity. He's looking at OPEC when we can do the same thing here. So a lot of people in the industry just completely don't understand why he would ask more of OPEC and not ask for the U.S. oil and gas industry.
All right, our guest is Dan Eberhart. He is the CEO of Canary. Wrote a piece, Forbes magazine. He's agreed to join us here on 93.9 The Eagle in Columbia. So can you dive a little bit deeper into the piece that you wrote for Forbes?
Sure. So basically, you know, the old price of oil is going up a little bit because of Hurricane Ida, a little bit because of economic activity, and a little bit because Iran hasn't been able to put their oil kind of back online. But really what's going on is the president is anti-oil and gas, and he's done, significant things like cancel Keystone Pipeline, cancel fracking on federal lands, cancel offshore drilling and new permits for offshore drilling. And all of these things make oil more dear and more expensive and push the price up. I also think that there's the Democrats are a little bit disingenuous when they say when they don't finish the sentence on this Green New Deal or these carbon neutral measures, in that it's about everybody wants cleaner water, everybody wants cleaner air, but it's at what cost? And look, these policies are driving energy costs up for consumers. And the Democrats don't talk about that, and they just think people aren't going to notice. But regular people care what they pay to put gasoline in their pump. You know, the price of oil relates to the price of gas, and that's 40% the cost of an airline ticket, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And all this printing money the federal government has done for COVID and beyond is inflationary, which pushes the oil price up and everything else.
Yeah, and I'm Stephanie Bell, who's off today. I'm with her. You know, I use gas. I'm going to pay what I'm going to pay, but I like bringing this up because these are things, and I know people right now that, you know, if we have some of our independent, libertarian friends and maybe friends that lean on the left or are Democrat that are listening this morning, we appreciate that. But these are things that I wish people would think about when they vote for these people that want to do these things. They don't, you know, they don't think these things out. They think, oh yeah, cleaner air, cleaner this, and yes, you are right. We all want it, and there are things that we can do. But see, then you do this and you do that. Not only are you paying more for fuel, not only are you paying more for your plane tickets to see the grandkids in upstate New York, you're paying more for the goods that get delivered to your grocery store, because guess what brought those goods to the grocery store?
Exactly.
The truck drivers who are buying fuel. Their costs go up. It's just insane. So I hope that these are things, and I think you've done a great job, Dan, in drawing a line from point A to point B. See, when you have a president who does this is the end result. It's not just a talking point. Dan Eberhart, CEO of Canary, wrote a piece for Forbes on gas prices. I would highly encourage you to get on Forbes. Just search Dan Eberhart. You see him all the time on CNN, MSNBC, Bloomberg, all that good stuff. And he's been kind enough to join us on 93.9 The Eagle in Columbia, Missouri this morning. Anything else that you want to add that I didn't get to that you'd like to include?
Sure. Look, I have one more point. Look, I think it's crazy that the Democrats have all this stuff where the governor or the president or whoever comes out with, look, we want to be carbon neutral by this. We have this goal. We have that goal. All this stuff is fine, but I think that we switched from the BlackBerry to the iPhone because the iPhone was better. We're going to switch from the internal combustion engine car to the electric car because it's better. Like, consumers should make the choice. We should make the choice. It shouldn't be a top-down government picking winners and losers thing. We all need to move in the right direction, and I think we'll get there. But when the government just announces these kind of initiatives and tries to knee-jerk technology into fitting with, consumer preference, I think it's wrong, and I think that's not the kind of America I want to live in.
Yeah, and Dan Eberhart, just an excellent job. See, here's when you vote for those people that will institute those, and you knew this. You knew that this what was going to happen, and these people vote for it anyway. And in even beyond the realm of fuel prices, everything else that's happening. Let's sick the Department of Justice on parents if they speak out at school board meetings. Let's any transaction in your bank over $600. IRS is going to be monitoring that. They're cracking down, eyes everywhere on you. And by the way, if you voted for Biden and you have regret, there is help for you. There are numerous toll-free hotlines you can call for mental health, and you can call 1-800-WE-TOLD-YOU-SO. Dan Eberhart, CEO of Canary. Man, thanks for joining us here on the radio station this morning.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
All right. If I muddled through some of that, I thought he was going to be on 635 this morning. So everybody said, "Hey, you got to listen to Wake Up Columbia. This guy, CEO of an oil drilling company, he wrote a piece for Forbes regarding high oil." Everybody said, "Listen to 93.9 The Eagle at 635." And he was on at 8:10, and it was all my fault. So this is becoming a thing.
You can hear the chants from the crowd. Let's go, Branden. You told me you were going to kind of hang back.
So that is NASCAR racer Branden Brown being interviewed, and you heard that reporter live following a NASCAR race on Sunday. And as we're seeing in stadiums all across America, as more and more people are getting it, you had the Democrat running for governor in Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, say in a Zoom call last night, the president, he said, in effect, president's not helping us. He's not doing any good. We know he's not popular. So you're starting to see more and more people are catching on to the problems that is the Joe Biden administration, things that a lot of us intelligent people knew long ago. We knew this was going to happen, and it's happening, and people are going, what the hell happened, man? What happened? What happened is exactly what we said was going to happen. So at this NASCAR race, you have fans chanting in the background, F Joe Biden, F Joe Biden, on live TV. The reporter does a pretty good job to cover it up. Oh, I think they're saying, let's go, Branden.
You can hear the chants from the crowd. Let's go, Branden.
It's become a thing. That whole let's go, Branden chant has been taken to the next level. You got to hear this story. We'll do that for you coming up at 8:25. It's something Can I learn a new skill? Check, 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 check. Your next check in that box is this website, pro-pumping.com, pro pumping and hydro jetting. Looking for somebody who's willing to learn some new stuff and somebody who wants to work for, good locally owned folks. And that's what you get when you are working for Pro Pumping and Hydro Jetting. You work for good people. They are going to take care of you. You take care of them. They'll take care of you. That's how it works. They'll know who you are. And you're going to be helping people all across mid-Missouri. So check out the website for Pro Pumping and Hydro Jetting, pro-pumping.com.
An eye on the nation.
An eagle eye on mid-Missouri.
Wake up Columbia with Branden Rathert. Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
You can hear the chants from the crowd. Let's go, Branden.
All right.
You were going to kind of hang.
So that happened Sunday NASCAR race. Brandon Brown wins a race. Reporter chatting with him live on the air, and people in the background. Joe Biden. We're seeing this happening all across America, and I wish it wouldn't happen, but it's the will of the people right now. Somebody has taken that whole thing, and the reporter does a really good job of covering. She's live on TV, and she says, yeah, you can hear the people saying, "Let's go, Branden." She knows they weren't saying
She had to have known.
Yeah, she knows. But kudos to her. I'll nominate her for winner of the week, Friday, 8:35. Good job covering up. Somebody has taken this to the next level. I'll nominate these people for winner of the week. My good friend Joey Lose, who hosts afternoons on our classic rock station, KCMQ, turned me on to this. T-shirts are being sold that say, "Let's go, Branden."
I've seen several different T-shirts as well. People are on it.
A lot of variations. And it's a dog whistle, in effect. If somebody sees you wearing a shirt that says, "Let's go, Branden," is what they are saying is F Joe Biden. And listen, let's be clear. He said, "Well, that's part of the problem with politics. It's become so divisive, I should say." That's funny. That is brilliant. Let's go, Branden. Bunch of different iterations of the T-shirt that you can find. That is just brilliant marketing on somebody's point. Coming up, Fox News, another deadline looms in Congress, and it's Republican versus Republican in Idaho. If Fox doesn't get to this story at 8:30, remind me, Hannah, at 8:35 to do this. Pretty interesting.
Noted.
Yeah, it's getting some national traction. Brian Hauswirth is here, by the way. New into the 93.9 The Eagle studios this morning. A CPD officer-involved shooting. We have new information on that. Brian has that for you coming up at 8:31. And while we're highlighting this reporter who did a really good job of covering up the F. Joe Biden chants on live TV for the NASCAR guy, we've got another reporter. She's talking to somebody live about, hey, if you won the Powerball, what would you spend your money on? She got kind of an odd response. Again, live TV. She played it off smooth. Might even make you laugh. Hear that. We'll do that for you coming up at 8:35 here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live and find locations to get your free passes for the Tiger Tailgate for Homecoming happening Saturday.
News. I'm Chris Foster. President Biden says Democrats may have to suspend the Senate's filibuster rule to raise the nation's debt ceiling with a simple majority vote. Republicans could block that again today.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warning of an economic recession should Congress fail to raise the debt ceiling in the next 2 weeks. If the U.S. defaults on its debt, Moody's Analytics predicts the U.S. would see a 4% decline in economic activity and would lose nearly 6 million jobs.
Fox's Lauren Blanchard. Divers found a pipeline that spilled oil off the California coast was dragged by something and has a 13-inch tear.
As investigators continue searching for the cause, records show the Coast Guard received 2 calls about a potential oil spill hours before Amplify Energy, the company that operates the pipeline, reported it and launched cleanup efforts. It's too soon to determine the full environmental impact to those beaches and area wildlife.
Fox's Matt Finn. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:31. We're expecting possible showers throughout the day. Maybe some storms after 1 o'clock. Today's high 71. Slight chance of rain and a low near 62 tonight. And rain again in the forecast tomorrow with a high of 74 degrees. Right now, 65 here in Columbia. Good morning, everyone. A convicted Columbia triple killer has been executed despite calls for clemency from Pope Francis and 2 congressional Democrats from Missouri. Ernest Lee Johnson was executed by lethal injection last night at the state's maximum security prison in Bonne Terre. Prosecutors say Johnson used a hammer to kill Mary Bratcher, Mabel Scruggs, and then Fred Jones in February 1994. Pope Francis asked the governor to block the execution, citing his humanity and the sacredness of all human life. The governor says 3 juries reviewed the case and recommended the death penalty. Now, there were some protests around the state yesterday, including in mid-Missouri. One was outside the governor's office at the Capitol. Yesterday, there were protesters carrying signs. There were also some protesters outside the Boone County Courthouse. They protested peacefully and in silence. They asked the governor and the courts to block the execution. Former Missouri Governor Bob Holden, a death penalty supporter, asked the governor to block the execution as well.
There's a long paper trail since childhood indicating he is intellectually disabled. His communication skills are less than a typical 5-year-old.
As for Governor Parson, he rejected that request. He said that Ernest Lee Johnson went to great lengths to plan his crimes. Parson also says that Johnson's claim that he wasn't competent to be executed was rejected by a jury and the courts 6 different times. About 150 transportation officials, city and county leaders from across the state will be hearing a legislative update today from the National Association of County Engineers, a 2-day Columbia Transportation Conference about ready to get underway here in about 90 minutes.
The Missouri Association of County Transportation Officials will open their meeting this morning at 10 in Columbia with a welcome from Boone County Presiding Commissioner Dan Atwill. Attendees include road supervisors, public works directors, and county commissioners from across the state. One of the biggest issues facing rural Missouri counties is gravel road maintenance, which will be discussed at the conference. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Developing a story that we are continuing to work on, and we have a letter from the Callaway County prosecutor up on our website, 939theeagle.com. Columbia's police chief and the special prosecutor, Chris Wilson, have announced that charges will not be filed against the 3 CPD officers involved in that deadly officer-involved shooting on Sun Court. It happened in March 2020 when officers tried to arrest child molestation suspect Curtis Haas. He died in an exchange of gunfire with police. Prosecutor Wilson concludes by saying that Haas was armed with several firearms, including rifles, pistols, and a shotgun. Quote, "It is clear from the video and reports Haas did not intend to surrender to officers peacefully and was able and willing to use lethal force against those officers attempting to take him into custody." End of quote. Again, that quote from prosecutor Chris Wilson. You can read his full letter on our website, 939theeagle.com. Again, the prosecutor has cleared those 3 officers. And CPS is now Missouri's 5th largest school district, 18,213 students. Number expected to grow by hundreds. The numbers contained in CPS's annual report. The 18,213 number total enrollment at the end of 2020-2021. CPS's Michelle Baumstark notes this fall's initial enrollment is up about 600. We'll get official numbers. They'll be updated here in the next few weeks this fall. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning by Hemi Construction, homes and lots in the southwest neighborhoods of Chapel Hill Meadows, Nursery Heights, and Creek's Edge. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:35. In sports, Cardinal baseball tonight. Great to have it here on the Eagle. The Cardinals and the Dodgers and the National League wild card game. 1-game playoff, winner take all. 40-year-old Adam Wainwright, and he can get it done at the bat as well. When he swings hard. He faces 37-year-old Max Scherzer on the mound. Just the second elimination game MLB postseason history. 2 starting pitchers ages 37+. First pitch 7:10, Chavez Ravine, Los Angeles. Catch all the action tonight right here on 93.9 The Eagle. Again, 7:10 the first pitch, our time this evening. And it'll be John Rooney, the primary announcer tonight on the call. Our sports brought to you by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:36.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
And our traffic check is brought to you by MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com. Find a job or to post your job opening today. Things have been quiet on the roads right now. Just a reminder for those of you who use Rock Quarry Road, many of you do, there is vegetation that has been impacting traffic, honeysuckle specifically, and they're going to have a lot of equipment and manpower out in that area all day Friday. 8 o'clock in the morning to 9 is when they'll set up, but they said that it's impacting visibility around the corner.
Sorry. Well, is this real? Did Hannah, the producer, sneak one in on you, Hauswirth?
This is real.
Honeysuckle affecting traffic.
Yeah, and apparently the honeysuckle is impacting traffic. And again, I'm not a vegetation expert. I can tell you from driving through there, it is hard to see around the corners. There's no doubt about that. But I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but they'll be working all day on Friday. So be prepared for traffic impacted by honeysuckle work on Rock Quarry Road. That'll be coming your way.
Can I quote you on that, Hauswirth?
Yes,
honeysuckle work.
That's right. 93.9, the Eagle.
But it smells delicious. How can it be affecting traffic? By the way, I saw some signs out by about where I live, Highway WW, east of 63. That's going to be shut down. Portions of it will be shut down during the day, coming up a couple of weeks from now. Welcome into the show. I am Branden Rathert. There is Brian Hauswirth.
Good morning.
Hannah, the producer.
What up?
Stephanie Bell has today on something we can do for you. 874-9390. 874-9390. I want to get into this story, what's happening in Idaho, where you have Republican v. Republican. Not the first time it happened there either. In effect, you've got a lieutenant governor who, now think about this. Quentin Lucas, we criticized him. Not just because he's a Democrat, but we criticized him because when the cat was away, the little blue mice came out and played. Law enforcement out of town earlier this year, emergency meeting. We're not going to call it defunding the police. We are just going to take some funding away from them. See, we didn't defund. We just took $45 million. A judge telling us yesterday in Kansas City saying, dude, you broke the law. And I don't know if those were the judge's exact words. Do you know, Brian? Was that exactly what the judge said? Did he say, dude, you broke the law?
I don't think those were exact words.
Okay.
But it was still a big ruling. The one aspect of the story that hasn't really been talked about in the article that you cite, Branden, is there was actually a number of Republicans that wanted this to go to a special session. A number of them in the Northland area specifically. The governor did not want to do that. He supported their effort. He was absolutely critical of Mayor Lucas, but the governor wants that addressed in a regular session.
As a matter of fact, this was Mayor Quentin Lucas earlier this year on why we should defund the police.
I think the way you actually back the blue and support our communities is actually supporting them in helping to prevent crimes.
Well, it certainly is not by taking $45 million away from the police department. Jackson County judge ruled that Quentin Lucas broke state law by doing this. Incidentally, and I want to thank one of our listeners this morning for highlighting this. Officials are saying, listen, here are some facts, by the way. These just aren't talking points. KCPD has seen a record number of resignations and retirements in 2021. More than 100 officers have resigned or retired. 35 more will leave this year. Those numbers nearly double the total number of resignations and retirements than any other year in Kansas City Police Department history. Again, I go back. You know, people that vote for these people that promote these policies, welcome to this side of things, man. It's okay. You can evolve. Listen, when I was younger, I used to be a Democrat, and then I celebrated my 10th birthday, and I got wise. I'm like, oh, okay. But I'll tell you what did it. Growing up in inner city St. Louis, we had forced segregation. So I could throw a rock at my local neighborhood school, but you know what? Because of this, we want everybody to. They sent me to schools. My goodness, 35, 45-minute bus ride. And the cost, it was just ridiculous. And I remember, I was like 8 years old, asking my mom and dad, well, Mom and Dad, see Scruggs Elementary here on South Grand in St. Louis. See on South Grand. I could throw a rock up there, but they're shipping me to this school like off of Grand and 40 north of there. How come? And that's when I became a conservative at the age of 10 because I questioned why am I having to go to school all the way up here? So the mayor, judge saying you broke the law, and I hope. I'm betting a week's worth of Hannah the producer's salary. It won't happen.
Bet your own salary, please.
I could bet my own salary in this situation because it's a bet that I'm going to win. I bet $1 million on it. The national news outlets, they were big on this story earlier this year. Oh, look, another mayor. He's defunding police. Look at him go. Look at him go, man. Yeah. They were all over it, man. I will bet you $1 million they will not hype it. Hype this. Oh, hey, that mayor that defunded police in Missouri, he broke the law. I will bet $1 million they are not going to hype it like this. Meanwhile, locally, new developments this morning regarding a Columbia Police Department officer-involved shooting. I don't want to make sure because I kind of got these two conflated.
It's okay.
I hadn't heard. This was not the officer-involved shooting on Stadium. This was a different one.
Yeah, exactly. And he gave you kind of an update, by the way, on the second one, which we'll touch on. The other one was a gas station. This one, Branden, was on Sun Court in March of 2020. This is when CPD officers tried to arrest a child molestation suspect named Curtis Haas, who died in exchange of gunfire with police. Chief Jones releasing the letter today, and he cites the letter from the prosecutor, the special prosecutor, Chris Wilson, because Dan Knight recused himself. So Chris Wilson brought in from Callaway County, and the letter cites a lot of video footage from body cameras and video footage from a civilian eyewitness that show Haas with a handgun fleeing from officers, pointing the gun and then pointing a rifle at an officer out the window before the officer fired at Haas. At that point, according to the video evidence, Haas fired at an armored CPD vehicle in which the officers were stationed, and he was struck 3 times.
So the prosecutor saying, "Yep, nothing wrong here." Doing what they do in the line of duty. Meanwhile, Chief Jeff Jones gave us an update on the investigation into the officer-involved shooting. That was the one on Stadium that just about everybody in rush hour traffic that day saw, or at least saw the activity surrounding that. And Internal Affairs, according to him, they've done their investigation. Missouri State Police, they've conducted their investigation. And it's now, too, before a special prosecutor, and is in most situations, whenever there's an officer-involved shooting, update on the officers, administrative leave. He said we should have a decision soon. I hope these national news outlets, again, these stories like this. So what we're seeing here in Missouri, in Kansas City, I hope these national news outlets jump on the story. Hey, that mayor of Missouri that defunded police, he broke the law. Hey, that shooting in Columbia, they got hyped. Nothing wrong happened here. Let's move along. And I do want to highlight, there's some officers within the Columbia Police. I want to highlight everybody in law enforcement, man. God bless you for the work you do. More often than not, when you're in the news, it's not for something good. Or at least that's the way a lot of these national news outlets portray it. A lot of the national news, they jump on these stories. They create BS that just is not true. And they make it bad for you. They do. And I apologize the way a lot of national news outlets especially cover these stories. I apologize on behalf of them. No, there are so many people, and I tell people, when you get a chance, see somebody in law enforcement, if you're in Callaway County, if you're in the city of Jefferson City, if you're in Centralia, by the way, Centralia police chief there, that's turning into a story. Somebody who's lobbying to try to get the chief reinstated in Centralia, apparently he was let go. Somebody else in the department let go. He quit.
He resigned, yes.
The chief resigned. People are wanting him back. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess, it sounds like.
Somebody who's all in favor of the chief getting back with the department. He's on the show here tomorrow. He's just a resident. getting involved. So I want to highlight, so wherever you are, you see somebody in law enforcement, just say, hey, man, thank you. I know you got it rough, and I know it's a lot of Democrats and it's a lot of the national news outlets that have unnecessarily made your job and the perception of you, the way they try to paint you, they've ruined it for you, man. Molly Thomas Bowden Officer of the Year Award. Columbia Police Department Detective Mark Fitzgerald and Chief Jeff Jones telling us earlier this morning. So this guy, he's a narcotics detective, but this guy takes the time to say, hey, maybe there's something you can do to get some help. So that way you and I don't have to meet again. And he gets really involved with the families. That's just wow. Sergeant Rick Horrell, Supervisor of the Year. And everybody, according to Chief Jeff Jones, yeah, he's just a real fair, reasonable guy. A couple of custodians within the Columbia Police Department. I want to give them kudos too. Bob DeClue, Kathy Rulo went above and beyond to keep facilities sanitized and cleaned during the whole COVID thing. And then Rookie of the Year, Patrol Officer Jeremiah Owens. I love that they do a Rookie of the Year. Coming up, we might get into the 93.9 the Eagle listener mailbag. A lot of folks being mean this morning.
Why are you saying we might? What's up with that?
Because I want to highlight this audio. So this reporter, Sunday, Branden Brown, wins a NASCAR race. This reporter live talking to him, the crowd at NASCAR, F Joe Biden. She did a great job. She covered up. You can hear them saying, let's go, Branden. She knows that's not what they were saying, but she did a good job of smoothing it out, man. Another reporter, she's going around asking people in a gas station, hey, if you win the Powerball, what you gonna buy? And this guy gave a really odd answer. Her recovery was smooth, so I want to make sure that you hear that, and then maybe get into the 93.9 The Eagle listener mail.
Probably not.
Taking my car to Gap's Automotive Repair Shop. I've been knowing these folks, Gus and Paula, there for about 4 or 5 years. And I go there because my first encounter with them, I don't know a whole lot about cars. I just, I don't. You tell me that my flux capacitor is out, I'm like, okay, how much does it cost? But I never got that vibe from Gap's Automotive Repair Shop. It was an experience unlike any other experience I've had with a mechanic. And I like, I've never felt it necessary. Well, I got to take it if it's this type of vehicle, I got to take it to that dealership. No, that's just not true. If you want to, go ahead. You don't have to, though. That's why I go to Gap's Automotive Repair Shop. They've just, I've always felt very comfortable with them, and they tell me, hey, if you want to keep your car running, you want to keep it running well, here are some things. It's never, oh, hey, we were doing an oil change, and we found out that you needed $8,000 worth of repair. It's not like that, man. Gap's Automotive Repair Shop, I would highly encourage you to check them out. Maybe the next time you're cruising along Vandiver and you see Gap's Automotive Repair Shop, kind of just right up the street from Witt Print Shop. Pop in and say hello.
Everyone else takes it too seriously. This is Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
My friends in the other team have no problem giving billionaires and millionaires gigantic tax breaks.
Snake oil salesman.
This is a tax cut.
Snake oil salesman.
You know what it does is...
now it's tax cut. Last week, it cost nothing. Now it's not only does it cost nothing, it's a tax cut. Dem versus Dem in D.C. today. Fox will have more on this coming up at 9 o'clock as we get into the Gary Nolan Show. In Idaho, in one of the most conservative states in the nation, it's Republican versus Republican. Governor gone. He's at the border saying, hey, what's going on here? Because it's affecting us, especially with the influx of fentanyl. We're seeing that here. Chief Jeff Jones talked about it this morning. They're seeing more and more fentanyl on the streets here in Columbia, in the heart of America. And I will tell you, it's coming from people that are coming into this country illegally because since January 20th, we put out the welcome sign. Come on in, like Cracker Barrel. Come on in. That's what it's been like. That's where the fentanyl's coming from. It's killing people. So anyhow, we go to Idaho. The governor there, his name is Brad Little. Brad Little, he goes and visits the Mexico border, wants to see, hey, you know, what's going on here? While he's gone, the lieutenant governor, who is of the same party, they're both Republicans. Her name is Janice McGeachin. She signs an executive order as acting governor banning vaccine passports and banning mandatory COVID-19 testing. It's cool. And then she tried to deploy the National Guard. She tried to activate the Idaho National Guard. Idaho National Guard said, you know, you can't do that. Even as acting governor, you can't do that. She is obviously grandstanding. She is campaigning to take his place. I thought that was kind of interesting. Not the first time she's done this either. She did it earlier this year. She attempted to sign an executive order into law. She had issued an order banning mask mandates statewide in May while Little was out of the state at the Republican Governors Association conference. All right, want to highlight this reporter before we bail out. She's doing a live report on TV asking people about what they would do with their lottery winnings.
Ticket. Now, James, you bought your ticket. What are you going to do with that money if you win?
Well, I'm definitely going to get a new supercharged Mustang with dual exhaust and about 5 kilos of cocaine. And I'll be good to go.
Okay, so you like cars. You like cars.
Kudos. Gary Nolan Show is coming up next. Wake Up Columbia on demand anytime. Podcast be posted up on our website by probably 10 o'clock this morning.